We are here representing the National Not-for-Profit Advisory Organization, AAIS. In these brief few minutes, we have our agenda is we will explain our purpose for creating what we have, the Open Insurance Data Link. We will give an overview of the working platform, and we will entertain any questions or discussions on our vision and commitment around blockchain technology. So why are we here? Why are we here at C Committee? Why AAIS? Over the past 6 years, AAIS has invested to rebuild our technical infrastructure and establish a competitive advisory solution for our members and the P&C industry. During this journey, we went to the declarations of the model rating law to reconnect with the purpose for which we exist. It's well established, there is a dynamic in the model law, that there are three main stakeholders working together: the regulator, the advisory organization, and the insurers. Many of the duties that we find in the model law are around the collection of data, with each of these stakeholders bearing a duty and responsibility for a fair, transparent, and efficient marketplace. AAIS has made the declaration as part of our manifesto, and we seek to redefine what an advisory organization does and reflect these values around the marketplace. The collection, as an advisory organization, the collection of statistical data referenced in the model continues to have a very valid purpose. However, what we see is a process that has become very antiquated. Regulators don't receive enough data and results in additional data calls, but you don't have enough to be able to see whether your markets are fair and working correctly. Advisory organizations can't access the data that's directly distributed to the states under a direct data call in order to be responsive with good products. And carriers receive no information from the exercise that would allow or incent them to provide more and better and more timely data. Blockchain is just the technology that would allow us to solve a problem. We're not here to solve every problem. We do, however, think solving this problem is a genesis for what can come. In our collaboration with IBM to develop this blockchain pilot, we conducted some design thinking exercises with stakeholders, and I'd really like to thank the department, the Ohio department, the ISU Katie School, Chubb, and NCIB for being participants in our first design thinking session around identifying the pain points for data collection in our industry. What we found is that basically the collection of the data is very inefficient, expensive for companies, and cumbersome. The second pain point was movement or flow of that data in large volumes has inherent security risk, as we've seen with the development of the new cyber model law. And ultimately, there's just a lack of trust around that data. The parties that are contributing, the parties that are reviewing, really don't have a lot of confidence in that data. As a result, we are introducing openIDL, the Open Insurance Data Link for the industry. I think first of all, I have to say that the label itself, our branding, has a message behind it, and it really goes to basic blockchain. So if you'll imagine that one of those is a stream of data and the second flying in was another stream of data, what happens is in that stream of data there are points of connection that create value. That where you're seeing those shaded edges, that means maybe that data is not being transparent or shown to another party, but there are places where that intersection really creates value. And that's what we're trying to create in the openIDL. Basically, it's a very parallel universe to the internet. So the internet is a network of information. What we're seeking to create here with the openIDL is a network of value. And with that, to explain what exactly we created and what we have working and standing up today, I'm going to hand off to Truman.
Thank you. So, why do we choose blockchain to approach this problem? We were looking at it when we started to create a solution around industry collaboration and getting more utility and value around the data that we know is prevalent all across the industry, often locked in towers or silos and making it unusable. Starting with our core purpose around the advisory organization, we started with regulatory data streams, statistical reporting, and the data calls, as Robert mentioned, that are happening periodically directly from the jurisdictions. Some of the features we wanted to make sure we hit was understanding that getting that statistical data into a blockchain to make sure that it's accessible and immutable, and we've got some data that we can trust as it's laid down into this solution. And then collaboratively working on new data calls as they come, so that as regulators issuing new data calls, you can see what data is already available in order to make sure you're asking the right questions, getting the right data points, and getting information back in a timely fashion. So working with the respondents to make sure that to get to a fast answer where it's required, get to a more detailed answer where it's needed. So with this, with this information into a blockchain, we get new value for all the participating stakeholders, for the regulator, the contributing organization, as well as the advisory organization, so we can respond to that data call and make updates to programs to help satisfy the exposure in question. This results in more timeliness, more detail potential, benchmarking for the carriers so they can see how their data stacks up to the industry relative to the statistical reports or to the data call in question, and new insights for everyone involved in it. What this also does is establish the policy and claim objects for extension and records. So we've already got millions of policies and claim records already in the system, starting right now, actually starting already. And so we can build on those as common objects for reference across the industry, even with the data that we have today, starting from there. So what did we build? We built a private permission blockchain. Again, that was very key to make sure that the partitioning is in place to ensure the privacy, security, as well as the performance of the data as we're looking to scale this across the entire industry. We partnered with IBM and selected the Hyperledger platform, which is a key and critical decision for us. And why we selected that is that the Hyperledger platform is managed under the Linux Foundation, which aligns very tightly with our core values and our desire to create an open and transparent platform that everybody can trust as a platform. It is a US-based development community and running many of the software platforms that you find today on your phones and your PCs. Open versus public. It's not a public blockchain, and it does not mean the data is not protected. Transparent, when we talk about that, means it's transparency with respect to the technology, the open source platform, as well as the operations and the governance of the platform. So everybody can see exactly what it is they're getting into, where their data is going, who's using it, if to the degree that there is any sharing of that at all. It's an inclusive and accessible network designed for companies of every size, every line of business, every jurisdiction, and designed to expand and reach into and participate with other blockchain consortia, other software systems, and technology across the industry. It is interoperable. We are building it today. It's on the IBM cloud. We are building it to support any other platforms that are out there. Again, it's not technology dependent. It's designed for interoperability. And it's up and running. So due to time constraints, we'll forego a full demo, but we certainly would invite you to reach out to us for a more detailed demo, but we'll show you what's happening here. The statistical data is in there. It is being fed by existing processes, so there's no disruption to the current operations today. But you can start to get a new value from that information once it's in there. We've also expanded it to include data calls. Data calls can be created so carriers can see which data calls they are eligible for or required to participate in, and regulators can create new calls, and again, in collaboration with the respondent pool to make sure that is a valid and timely response to it. Creating all those individual details and seeing the entire history of that data call once it's created, all the way through its time period, and then the report that's ultimately developed. As the data comes in and is aggregated, that report and information is available to regulators and to carriers through the openIDL. So the value proposition, once we have this now is in place, is that the data is now under the control of the owning participant. In this case, the carriers or the companies contributing the data or putting the data into the blockchain. The open governance assures that the data that's in there is not going to be used for purposes out of their control in the future. The members have the control and the participation in the governance model, so there's no surprises coming down the road. Again, affordable and accessible and equitable. Key is fairness, and making sure that it's accessible to the entire industry so that you get the maximum amount of information to make the decisions. With that transparency and accountability engenders trust. So that brings the regulators, the carriers, and the advisory organizations back together working towards a common goal of a resilient and successful industry. Visibility is only there for each participant based on what they need. Ultimately, we're trying to get to a point where we're actually not sharing the raw data itself due to privacy concerns, data duplication, and other things, but able to get the information and get the answer to the question you're looking for from that data without actually revealing potentially PII data or confidential information within a company. This gives us the opportunity for new value for all this data that we've been collecting for many, many decades, and get value out of that now to see more opportunity around operational efficiency, regulatory insights, and new and emerging products. So how this works now, instead of the multiple streams that we had before, as Robin mentioned, with data going into essentially black holes and not providing long-term value for the industry, we've created a single data stream, including quarterly reporting, as well as the periodic calls. And at this point, we're looking to increase the participation, so get more companies, more data streams into the blockchain, as well as more regulators participating for insights into their jurisdictions. We're looking for increasing the frequency. Right now, the quarterly reporting as Robin mentioned, is not adequate to timeliness for some of the decisions that are coming up. So we're looking for increased frequency, and if we can go from quarterly to weekly or even daily or real-time transactions in the system, and start to open up a whole new gamut of use cases, including proof of insurance and other, again, customer-facing or operational systems. And then increasing the detail, which is really one of the big questions we're seeking to answer with this first initiative, is to get more information into the system so we can become more cognizant of emerging risks and trends and new data points that are either impacting our exposures in the marketplace. And companies of all sizes can participate and start to see how their information is relative to the marketplace. With this increased value, we'll get more participation in data contribution for the benefit of the industry, where today, as Robin mentioned, the current processes have very little value to the reporting carriers. And then as that information is in there, the system is more trusted, and those policy and claim records become more referential. You get more operational and a dramatic efficiency improvement in the corporate and regulatory operations. So, and again, minimal disruption. The idea with this is to get started very quickly with a minimal disruption to current operations, working within the model law to perform the purpose that we've been chartered to do, more efficient and better than we have in the past, creating a hub of insurance information that can start to facilitate new opportunities across the market. As Robin mentioned, as we're kind of labeling this the Genesis blockchain for the future of insurance. Quick wrap up. I want to hit some of the points to make sure we drive home. That industry reporting, data reporting, is critical to all stakeholders in the operation, not just the regulators, but also to advisory organizations and to carriers to ensure a healthy market and one that the public can trust. The current model, the model law that Robin reviewed, is valid. The process, unfortunately, is antiquated. We are dependent on legacy systems and legacy data streams, including some that are still actually reverted to paper on a regular basis, which we know is going to have very limited value to the participants in the requesting regulator. AAIS is a modern organization and a not-for-profit advisory organization chartered by you, the NAIC and the several states. Is the logical facilitator for this industry reporting process, and part of the rules that Robin went over is our job to make sure these processes are more efficient in the future. openIDL resolves the pain points that Robin mentioned with that data privacy and security, and creates new value and opportunity for carriers, again, of every size, for efficiency and responsiveness, so we can meet the needs of the emerging risks and new markets that are coming online all the time. And this brings the key stakeholders together for this Genesis blockchain to bring us all, again, focused on the core mission of the industry to make sure we have a healthy, responsive, and a resilient market for our members. So the ask, of course, is we're trying to recruit everybody. So please get involved. On September 12th, we have our second phase design thinking session where we're talking about new nodes, expanding the network, new data points to the expanding on the current statistical plans that are the platform for the data in the system today, new features, new smart contracts, new functional elements, things like, again, like proof of insurance or other features that the membership would request. We have a new website up online, openIDL.com. We invite you to go visit that for more information. Drop us an email or contact Robin and myself for a demonstration or more details. And again, we very much thank you for your time today.